Manuel Castells' communication power. Manuel Castells is one of the most influential sociologists of the modern era, best known for his deep analysis of how communication and information shape power in society. In his book Communication Power, he explains how modern power operates not mainly through physical force or traditional authority, but through control over communication networks. In today's world, where almost everything is connected through the internet, television, and social media, the ability to shape information has become one of the strongest forms of power. Castells believes that we live in what he calls a network society. This means that our lives are connected through networks of communication, such as the internet, mobile phones, television, and social media platforms that transmit ideas, images, and stories across the globe instantly. These networks are not just tools for communication, they are the main arenas where power is built, maintained, and challenged. Whoever controls these communication networks can influence how people think, what they believe, and how they act. In traditional societies, power was held mainly by governments, armies, and wealthy elites who could control land or resources. But in the network society, power depends on the ability to shape meaning and control information. Castells argues that power in the modern world is the power to construct meaning. This means that leaders, institutions, and even individuals can gain influence by shaping how people interpret reality. For example, through television news, social media, or online campaigns, people's perceptions of truth and justice can be directed and controlled. Castells explains that power operates in two main ways in this system, through programming and switching. Programming refers to the ability to set the agenda, deciding what issues are important, what stories are told, and which ideas dominate the public space. Those who program communication networks can influence what society pays attention to and what it ignores. Switching refers to the ability to connect or disconnect different networks. This means deciding who gets a voice, which messages are shared widely, and which are silenced. In this sense, corporations, governments, and media organizations often have more power because they can control both programming and switching within global communication systems. However, Castells does not see this power as completely one-sided. He emphasizes that communication power can also be resisted. Just as those in authority can use communication to control others, ordinary people can use the same tools to challenge power and create change. The rise of social movements, citizen journalism, and digital activism are examples of how individuals can use communication networks to question injustice and mobilize collective action. Movements like the Arab Spring or global campaigns for climate action have shown that communication networks can be powerful tools for resistance and social transformation. Castells also introduces the concept of mass self-communication. Unlike the old days, when media was controlled by a few large organizations like television channels and newspapers, now almost anyone can create and share information through digital platforms. A person with a smartphone or a social media account can reach thousands or even millions of people without needing traditional media. This new form of communication gives people the ability to express themselves, form communities, and challenge dominant narratives. But it also creates new challenges, such as misinformation, fake news, and manipulation of emotions. According to Castells, communication power shapes not only politics but also culture, identity, and everyday life. Political leaders, corporations, and social influencers all compete to gain people's attention and trust. In this environment, emotions often become more powerful than facts. Stories, symbols, and images are used to connect emotionally with audiences and shape public opinion. Castells warns that when communication is driven by emotional manipulation rather than rational debate, democracy becomes weaker because people make decisions based on feelings rather than informed understanding. Another important point in Castells' theory is that power is not stable in the network society. It is constantly changing because communication networks themselves are flexible and dynamic. New technologies, trends, and platforms can quickly change who holds influence. For example, the rise of social media gave power to new voices like activists, YouTubers, and independent journalists, while traditional media lost some of its control. But at the same time, large corporations that own these platforms, like those running global social networks or search engines, have concentrated massive amounts of power by controlling access to data and visibility. Castells also shows how communication power can influence governments. Political campaigns are now centered around media strategies and public image rather than policies alone. Leaders use digital tools to craft narratives, connect emotionally with citizens, and shape the political agenda. At the same time, citizens use the same networks to demand transparency, protest corruption, and organize social movements. This constant interaction between control and resistance defines the new structure of power in modern societies. In the end, Castells' communication power reminds us that communication is not just about sharing information. It is about shaping how people see the world. The messages we consume every day, the stories we believe, and the images we share all influence our understanding of reality. In the digital age, the battle for power happens in the mind and emotions of people rather than on physical battlefields. Castells encourages us to become aware of how communication shapes our thoughts and values. He invites individuals to be critical, to question the sources of information, and to use communication responsibly. True democracy and freedom, he argues, depend on people's ability to participate actively in communication networks rather than passively consuming information, controlled by others. In simple terms, Manuel Castells teaches us that power today is not only about money or weapons. It is about controlling meaning. Those who can influence communication can shape the beliefs and actions of entire societies. But communication also gives people the power to resist, to speak, and to bring change. The key is to use this power wisely and ethically. If you enjoyed learning about Manuel Castells' communication power and how it shapes our modern world, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more insightful discussions on sociology and modern theories explained in simple language.